Once again, it's on. You know what time it is. It's time to play some toss. Welcome, everyone, to episode 85 of the Tristain Sports Show Toss. It is your main man, T-Squared, Tristain Thomas. Thank you all so very much for joining us this week. What do we have on tap? Bucks in a hole in their second round series in the NBA playoffs. Overreactions abound, but not here. I'm going to give it to y'all truthful, opinionated, and passionate because that's what we do here on Toss. Quick note on the Green Bay Packers because there's not a whole lot going on and there's a big guy missing, but we'll talk a little bit about it. The Brewers are in a groove, but how well are they playing right now and what do they need to do better? And in the Toss sweep, we're talking all NBA. My predictions from the first round. How well did I do? And my predictions for the second round. Will everything be correct? We'll discuss. But you all know how we get things started here on Toss. We get things started with the state of the state, and let's talk about those Milwaukee Bucks. Now, you have to take a deep breath when talking the Bucks. If you're on Twitter and you follow me at the20double, and you happen to hit the hashtag Bucks hashtag I have in there, it will transport you to different parts of Bucks Twitter. You have the good, rational Bucks Twitter, which hopefully many people consider me to be a part of because, like I said, we do it truthful, opinionated, and passionate here on Toss. It's not just something I do here on this program. It is something I do in real life. It is the very principles in which I live by. So you have the rational part of Bucks Twitter, the people who speak a lot of sense. Then you have negative Bucks Twitter, and that's what I've coined them. Dark Bucks Twitter, negative Bucks Twitter. Call them what you like. And they will tell you, even if things are going well, they could be on an 18-game winning streak, which they have had, by the way. 18-game winning streak, and they will tell you the sky is falling and they are playing horribly. They will nitpick and nitpick and nitpick and nitpick. Even when things are going as well as they could possibly be, this group will probably nitpick if the Bucks were to go on and win an NBA Finals. The ultimate, the reason why you get into this game, besides money, because let's be real, these guys play for a paycheck as well. But the competitors, like Giannis, they're in it to win championships. This series has been a negative Bucks Twitter dream. It's been a negative Bucks Twitter dream. Nothing has gone right. First of all, we have to absolutely 1,000% hit them with one of these. You are down 0-2 to the Brooklyn Nets. You knew this series was going to be difficult. Everyone knew this series was going to be difficult. We knew it was going to be highly competitive. People had their popcorn ready. We thought it was going to be one hell of a series, one competitive series. Through the first two games, it has not been that. Not even close. When you get dog walked, because let's be clear, game two, absolute dog walking. And at points of game one, it was a dog walking. But game two, for sure, an absolute dog walking. When you lose both games, to fall into an 0-2 hole by combined 47 points, nothing is exactly going well for you. And I mean nothing. Next verse Same as the first for the Bucks. Bucks shooters, like clockwork, forgetting how to shoot come playoffs. Now, game one of the Miami series, they struggled. They were 5 for 31. But you had confidence. Okay, this is a really good shooting team. Really good. And we'll talk about how good in just a second. Really good shooting team. You have to have confidence that was just an off night. You're not going to be able to hit every single three you take. You're not always going to be on from distance every single game. I've even said that here on this very program with all of you. There are going to be some nights you're just off. You're not going to be able to bomb people from three every single night. But this team is a much improved three-point shooting team. They will figure it out. They will make enough threes to open things up for Giannis, for Brook, for Drew, the guys who slash to the basket. And we saw the Bucks make those shots. The very next game, game 2 against Miami, I believe they hit 22 three-point baskets? A franchise playoff record? They went on to sweep that series. They shot very well from three. You get to this series, and in game 1 alone, you go 6 for 30. Game 2, you go 8 for 28. That's just simply not going to get it done. We've gone over this ad nauseum on this program. That in that Toronto series, a couple postseasons ago, Eastern Conference Finals, the Bucks made about 3% less of their three-point shots. And that was the difference in the series. If they hit at the same clip that they did in the regular season, it is a series win and a trip to the NBA Finals as opposed to a series loss and ending your hopes of a title. And here we are, 2 postseasons later, and they're back in the same boat. They were in the same boat last postseason in the bubble, where their shooters forget how to shoot. Now, the one shooter, the one guy you can really omit from this list, potentially, is Bryn Forbes, who's been by far their best three-point shooter this postseason, by a very large margin. This team has to remember how to shoot from three, but the problems go a little bit deeper than that, and we'll get to that in a second. The Milwaukee Bucks shot 38%, actually just a tick under 39% from three in the regular season. They were 5th in the NBA in three-point shooting, this team. Bryn Forbes hit a career high in threes, I believe at 45%. Bobby Portis hit a career high in threes. I believe he was at about 47, 48%. Chris Middleton, again, another 40% season from three. Drew Holiday hit a decent clip from three. Brook Lopez, a little bit down from three from where we're accustomed to seeing him, but still a pretty decent three-point shooter. All that combined, and you were 5th in the NBA in three-point percentage. Rounded up, 39%. 39% made in the regular season. In the playoffs. In this very postseason, the Milwaukee Bucks are shooting 30.7% from three. Let me run that back. In the regular season, the Milwaukee Bucks were just a tick under 39% from three. And in the playoffs, they are shooting 30.7%. You're talking a full, just about a full 9% less made threes. If you take away Bryn Forbes' three-point shooting, the Bucks are even worse. They're shooting 27% from three. Next verse, same as the first. They get to the playoffs, they forget how to shoot threes. And you thought game one was just an anomaly. Okay, they've been off for a full week. They swept their opponent. They had a full week's rest. All right, knock the rust off in game one. We'll accept that. You don't really want a loss, especially in game one. You want to steal game one on the road. You want to get the series off to a good foot. But then you get in game two and you perform even worse. Bud's emptying his bench by the early fourth quarter. Bucks were down by 49 at one point in this game. 49. Because they let their lack of offense bleed over into their defense. And it's just a monumental collapse to where they waved the white flag. And when the shots aren't dropping, when the shots aren't falling, we didn't even talk about Chris Middleton's performance. The fact that he went 6 for 23 in game one and 7 for 20 in game two. Giannis goes for 34 and 11 in game one. Gets 15 shots, goes 8 or 15 from the field, but 15 shots, only 15 shots in game two. He goes for 18 and 11, a gigantic step back from where he was in game one, and really from where he was in that Miami series. Now, again, we've said this before, we'll say it again. There are a few teams who can deploy a wall successfully against the Milwaukee Bucks, who have the physical players and the size and the ability on defense to really bother Giannis with that wall. Miami was one of those teams. But Giannis showed a patience that I don't really recall seeing, and that was because the Bucks were able to make baskets. When the shots are dropping, you see Giannis plays with a lot more confidence and a lot more patience when faced with the wall. He's not running into the lane with reckless abandon and picking up cheap fouls, putting himself at risk for injury, missing really awkward shots. When the shots are falling, you see a far more patient Giannis. Okay, they're going to double, probably triple team me. They're going to collapse in the paint. They're not going to give me an easy basket from here. That means all these other guys are open. I could kick it out and have confidence that when I kick it out, it's going to be points. And if those shots are dropping from the outside, eventually they're going to have to go and pay attention to those guys, and I'm going to get mine on the inside. This wall will eventually get broken down. And that's when I'm going to go and dominate and get to work. That's the patience that we saw in game one. Excuse me, in round one. Against the Heat. That's the patience we saw. I mentioned it here on this program. It was a patience that I don't recall seeing him play with against Toronto, against Miami last postseason. I felt that maybe his game was maturing, but now you see that the three-point shots aren't falling. Guys who are you're just used to seeing those shots drop for. And now you're seeing him go back to his old ways. And it's not conducive to success because that's exactly what the Nets want him to do. They want him to get impatient. They want him to go into the lane with reckless abandon to pick up cheap fouls. They want him to put up awkward shots. They want him to think twice before driving into the lane because they're going to collapse the defense. He's going to pick up a cheap foul, forcing him to go for jump shots that just are not in his range. Giannis, after game 2, even kind of admitted as much that he does get impatient. And I say that this is a quote. Call it ego, pride, you name it. When things are not going the way that you want it to go, now you try to take it upon yourself. That was Giannis after game 2's blowout at the hands of the Nets. Even he admits his pride, his ego gets in the way. And now he's trying to go and win a game by himself. A game in which this team was down by 49 points. As for as great as this guy is, for as great as this player is, this man is on the court and in his craft, a 2-time MVP, a defensive player of the year, most improved player. You are not going to go out there and score 49 straight points to win the ball game. There's no singular 49-point play in any sport. For as much as I thought his game had matured, you clearly see, and those are words from his mouth, that he still struggles with trying to take on all that responsibility by himself. He lets his ego and his pride get in the way. That is not conducive for winning basketball at any time of the year, whether it be the regular season, but especially the postseason, against a team the caliber of the Nets. There's more lack of Mike Budenholzer adjustments that we've clearly come to know and love, and I say that tongue-in-cheek with a lot of sarcasm in my voice. How many times do other coaches have to be able to move their chess pieces while he's over there trying to say king me playing chess? Playing checkers. Other coaches are playing chess. He's playing checkers. As my boy Lamont would say. Mike Budenholzer is a great regular season coach, but when it gets down to it, when it gets down to the nitty-gritty of it, he struggles to find the answers fast enough to make the in-game adjustments that are needed. And even the guys on inside the NBA, on TNT, said as much. They talk about in-game adjustments. Shaq spoke about it, in-game adjustments. Mike has to find a way to look at the game and make those adjustments in-game, not wait till after the game and try to employ it the next game. No, you need to do it now. You need to make those adjustments in-game. And I really, really have not seen that to this point in the first 2 games. I've seen game plan changes from game 1 to game 2, but I've seen nothing change within the game. All I've seen is questionable lineups, again, which is at this point, why are you having questionable lineups on the court? That's something that you were supposed to be experimenting with in the regular season. Not in playoffs. You should have your rotation set, and it should be short. Because not every guy deserves to get out there on the court during playoff time. But let's just keep it truthful. Not every guy is ready for that. It's all led to an 0-2 hole. And I believe teams who have won the first 2 games have won this round. I believe it's like over 90% of the time. Now the series shifts to Milwaukee. Must win gets tossed around way too much in every sport. But this is absolutely a must win, because if you go down 3-0, is done. It's done. You're not winning 4 straight against this team. You're not overcoming a 3-0 lead. It has never been done. Now, that's not to say that it can't be done. But the proof of this, the proof that we have that teams are in infinity after going down 0-3 tells me that you're not going to overcome that kind of deficit. You hear every Bucks player. You hear Budenholzer and you hear Giannis. The Nets took care of home court. That's what they were supposed to do. No, you were supposed to go in and grab one game. In order to win this series, you're going to have to get at least one game on the road if you're counting on holding your home court. You really had a shot at it in game 1. You had no shot of it in game 2. You never held a lead in game 2. It was a wire-to-wire beatdown. So if you're talking, we need to hold serve at home just like the Nets held serve at home, you better go and get game 3. And you better go and get game 4. Because if you lose game 3, it's definitely over. It doesn't matter if you win game 4 at home. It's over. Bucks have that shot to finally get on the board in this Eastern Conference semifinals playoff series on Thursday night. Milwaukee, Fiserv Forum, near full capacity. They're going to try to feed off the energy of the fans, but they better find a way to get the shots to drop. Mike Budenholzer better make some real adjustments, not just from game to game, but within the game. Giannis had better start being a little bit more patient. Budenholzer needs to put him at the 5, but that's a whole other conversation we need to have. Bucks need to fight for their lives because this is their playoff lives. You go down 0-3, it's over. Continuing here on Toss, State of the State. Let's get a quick Packers note in. The Packers are having their mandatory mini camp. Most of the receivers that, pretty much everybody showed up. Pretty much everybody, with the exception of Aaron Rodgers. Now, surprise, surprise. First of all, we all knew that we saw this coming from 10 miles away. We knew he was not going to show up. This is essentially a holdout situation. It will officially be a holdout if he does not show up to training camp, which, you have about, you have a month or almost 2 months to see what happens there. They're still trying to prepare that relationship. They're still talking contract. Nothing has changed from everybody I've spoken to. Nothing has really changed on that front. Apparently, the Packers front office won't fine Aaron Rodgers because, again, this is mandatory minicamp. That means you must show up. Otherwise, you will be fined. This is absolutely necessary. They decide they won't fine him. Yawn and duh is what I have written down in my outline here. Because it is a yawning situation. It is a boring situation. It is a duh. Because, look, and I already mentioned it. If he holds out, what are you going to do? Fine him? Piss him off even more? No. Superstars need to have their relationships finessed a little bit differently than other players. He is an absolute superstar, first ballot Hall of Famer, a former world champion, a Super Bowl MVP, 3-time NFL MVP. I mean, all the superlatives you want to put next to him, all the accolades you want to put next to him. You have to massage this relationship differently than you would anybody else. So none of this is a shock. I knew the Packers wouldn't fine him. It's going to piss him off even more and make the situation even worse. I knew he wasn't going to show up. Because why? Nobody would really get any work done. And I mean, it's not like they're not being asked about the Rodgers situation now. They've asked Devontae. They've asked Bakhtiari. They've asked Matt LaFleur. It's already a distraction. So nothing's changed on that front. Rodgers is not at mandatory minicamp. Packers won't find him. They're still trying to repair the relationship. As I said, it will be a bigger story once training camp comes along. And if he's not there, and then it may be Jordan Love time. And I have not heard him doing too well. He's done some things well in OTAs, but so far, mandatory minicamp, not that great so far. But I digress. Continuing here on Toss, State of the State, let's talk Milwaukee Brewers. Let's talk about how the last time we spoke about the Milwaukee Brewers that they were struggling. Could not scratch across runs. Wasting wonderful pitching performances from the likes of Peralta, Woodruff, Burns. Good bullpen work by the likes of Williams, Hader. Well, that doesn't seem to be the story. Over the last 10 games, they're 9-1. And don't look now, but as we said right here on Toss a few weeks ago, you just get the feeling they're going to go on a run that catapults them to the top of the division. 9-1 over their last 10 ball games. They are at the top of the NL Central currently at 32-26. They're scratching across just enough runs. They're playing some good defense, and the pitching continues to dominate. Now, Bleacher Report came out with their 2-month MLB grades of every team because we're a little over 2 full months into the season, and you could kind of start to grade them just a little bit. It's still very, very early into the season. You just hit June. Got a lot of ball games left. Not even halfway through the season yet. Bleacher Report graded the Milwaukee Brewers A, B plus. Matter of fact, can't skip the plus. And if you go on to the Toss Facebook page at facebook.com/TOnSportsShow, you'll see that I made a comment about it. Put it on our page, discuss it a little bit. We're discussing it here on the show, and I thought that was a very, very fair grade. Their pitching has just been outstanding. Again, something we've mentioned right here on this program. Even going into the season, I said that. I said that their pitching staff, from their starting staff to their bullpen, is getting a little bit disrespected and flying a little bit under the radar, and that's okay. Let them stay there and let them go and shock the entire league. To this point, they've been shutting a lot of offenses down. And they praise the pitching. They praise the guys like Peralta and Woodruff and Burns. They praise the Devin Williamses and the Josh Haders. And then they talked about the offense. The Willie Adames trade seems to be working. He's getting on base. But you need guys like Christian Yelich, Lorenzo Cain, Keston here, who just got sent back down to AAA because he still has not figured it out on the major league level. He goes down to AAA and just absolutely scorches the ball all over the yard. He gets to the majors and he just can't do it. And I just don't understand. That kid is a good hitter, really good hitter. And you have to wonder if the move to first base is really having an effect on him. Learning a new position, you don't want to mess up, and maybe it's getting in his head a little bit. Which is something I was really worried about when they announced that they were going to move him after they signed Colton Wong. Learning a new position is very difficult in any sport, but especially Major League Baseball. Especially when you've been playing one position primarily almost your entire career. It is not an easy thing to do, especially when you start as late as Keston did. It's not like he had a full offseason to get acclimated to first base. I mean, he literally found out that he's going to be moved over there like a couple months before the season. That's not really adequate time to get used to a new position, new responsibilities, and it can affect you. And maybe that's affecting his hitting. Like I said, the kid is too good of a hitter to be hitting like this. So you hope he could, and he may be down. He's definitely probably going to be down there much longer, barring injury, which we know the Brewers have definitely had to deal with this season. There's a lot of injuries. They're still dealing with injuries. But you hope that kid gets it figured out. But this offense is really going to be the downfall of this team if it doesn't get a little bit better. You can't always rely on pitching as good as they've been to keep teams to 0 and 1 and 2 and 3 runs every single night. And you scratch across, 1 and 2, and 4 runs. It doesn't work that way. You can't win a whole lot of ball games that way, especially in the regular season. Come playoffs, the games are going to be that tight. But you got to be able to be more consistent on the offensive end. And we've said that ad nauseum. We're probably going to continue to talk about that as long as it continues to be an issue. And it is. But to be in a groove the way they are, 9-1 in their last 10 ball games, first place in NL Central as we record this program, it is definitely a sight to see. It is definitely amazing to see what they've been able to do, even with a lack of offense. And that's the state of the state. The Bucks are down 0-2 Thursday night at Fiserv Forum. They fight for their playoff lives. You go down 0-3 to the Nets, it's over. The Packers, ho-hum, same old. Rodgers in the front office, still beef. Rodgers not at mandatory mini camp. Packers won't find him. They're trying to repair that relationship. And the Brewers, despite their offensive struggles, their pitching has been so dominant, it has lifted them to the first place in the NL Central. It's time for us to run the toss sweep. Toss Sweep, brought to you by the good folks over at TossNationMedia.com. Toss Nation Media, your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. The first round of the NBA playoffs is finally over. It came to an end on Sunday afternoon after Game 7 of the Clippers-Mavericks series. Clippers coming out on top of that. So now it's time to see and hold myself and ourselves accountable for our first round playoff predictions that we had going into the playoffs. If you remember in episode 82, I had my first round predictions for both the Eastern and Western conferences. It's time to hold myself accountable. Did I get that correct? Well, let's see. Remember, you could go back and you could check my work. Episode 82. In the Eastern Conference, I had the Sixers winning their series. They did that. I had the Nets winning their series. They did that. The Bucks, I had them winning their series. They did that in grand fashion with a sweep. And I had the Knicks winning their series against the Hawks, but I did say I would not be surprised if the Hawks won that series. And that's exactly what they did. They won that series. I said the Knicks would win it. I thought that they would play a little bit better offensively. I thought their defense would clamp down a little bit more, ratchet it up a little bit more in the playoffs. Tom Thibodeau, he finds a way to get his guys to do that, especially in playoff time. But the Atlanta squad, with the shooting of Trae Young and Bogdanovich, still a little bit sour about that non-trade. and Danilo Gallinari. I mean, they just beat those dudes, man. I mean, you got to give them credit. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they won the series. They did, but I just had a feeling that maybe the Knicks would do it just because they'd be able to slow them down defensively, but they weren't able to get that done. So 3-1 in the Eastern Conference for myself, not too bad. In the Western Conference, had the Jazz winning their series. They did that. I had the Lakers winning their series against the Suns. Now, the Suns won that series, but the thing I said, again, you can go and check my work on episode 82 of Toss. I said if the Lakers were fully healthy, they would win that 2-7 series, them being the 7 seed, the Suns being the 2 seed. Well, they weren't fully healthy. LeBron was definitely not fully healthy from that ankle injury, but he still played pretty well. Anthony Davis going down. He's trying to give it a go. Could not. Had no business being out there on the court in that elimination game. And they just weren't fully healthy. They couldn't put it together, and they got beat. So the two teams who represented their respective conferences in the NBA Finals last season in the bubble, no longer in the playoffs. Very, very short turnaround. And they're both gone. I had the Nuggets winning their series. They did that. And I had the Clippers winning their series. Again, that went to a game 7. Mavericks had their shot. They had their chances, and they just could not do it. The Clippers did it. I mean, especially in game 6 where Kawhi just came alive and just really destroyed those Mavericks pretty much by himself down in the stretch in clutch time. So the Clippers advanced. I did have them winning that series. So again, 3-1 to both conferences. Not bad for a first round. Now we get on to the semifinals. You go from 16 teams in the playoffs down to 8 teams now in the playoffs. The Eastern semis, the Bucks and Nets are already 2 games into their series, with game 3 coming up on Thursday night, again at Fiserv Forum in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Heading into it, just based on what I had saw in the regular season from them. Again, now regular season and postseason are 2 different games, 2 different deals, 2 different animals. But I felt confident with the Bucks shooting. I felt confident with what I had seen from Giannis in the first round, being more patient against a wall or against a defense that's collapsing. I felt confident that they could really match offensive power with this team, because I felt that it was going to be a really offensive-laden series. And it is, but the Bucks have just been missing a hell of a lot of shots. They make some of those shots. You're talking about both teams being in the high hundreds in both games. Instead, they score, I believe, 107 in the first game. They score 86 in the second game. Missed a lot of shots. Based on what I have seen through the first 2 games, the Bucks' lack of shot making, Giannis's impatience, feeling like he needs to take it on all of himself, and that's when he gets really loose with the basketball and makes silly fouls, takes silly shots. I just have a feeling that the momentum has shifted the way of the Nets. I mean, look, Kevin Durant, one of the greatest scorers in the league's history. Makes it look easy. Just smooth, one of the greatest players in the world. Kyrie Irving, when he gets rolling, he is a tough matchup. He is tough to stop. If he's hitting that 3, you got to respect the 3-point shot. Then he's just going to blow right by you. If you try to stay in front of him, he's just going to break your ankles and get to the rim. I mean, once he gets rolling, it's over. You have to knock the confidence out of him really early. Bucks haven't been able to do that. I just feel like it's going to be Nets in 6 now. Originally, I had Bucks in 6, and my heart still says, hey, look, maybe the Bucks can pull this out. Maybe they can pull this out. Maybe it might go 7, and the Bucks can win an elimination game in Brooklyn. I don't know if James Harden's going to be out for the entire series. He went down seconds into game 1 with that hamstring injury, the same injury that he was dealing with and missed a lot of time with in the regular season. Don't know if he's going to come back, but they haven't needed him to this point. Just something tells me that it's just going to be another heartbreaking playoff failure for the Milwaukee Bucks, and the Nets will move on. Sixers Hawks, they have played 2 games. I believe the series is now tied 1 apiece. They were still playing at the point of beginning this recording. Had a sizable lead in the fourth quarter, did the Sixers, so I believe that series will now be tied up 1 apiece. I got the Sixers. I think the Hawks will definitely make it interesting. The way they went in and pulled out game 1 in Philadelphia definitely shows you that it's going to be interesting. They almost blew that game. The ending to that game was absolutely nuts. It took a lot of clutch plays for them to hold on to that victory on the road and snatch a game from the Sixers on their home court. But I still think the Sixers will do it. Doc Rivers, he gets to this time of the year, and he always finds a way. He always helps his guys find a way. As long as Joel Embiid is healthy, they got a shot. So I got Sixers in 6. Let's go over to the Western Conference. The Jazz and the Clippers, they have not played their first game quite yet. But I still think this series will go 7. I think the Jazz will win it in 7 games. Just because they're so far ahead of where Dallas is. And if the Clippers struggle with Dallas to the point that it had to go 7 games, what do you think is going to happen against the number 1 seed? Jazz is good defensively, really good defensively. They play really well, really fluid on offense, although Mike Conley is not going to be in game 1. He's injured. That's going to hurt them a tiny bit, so Donovan Mitchell's going to have to step up. Joe Ingles is going to have to step up. Bogdanovich is going to have to step up. It will be a back-and-forth series, but I think the Jazz will pull that out in 7. In the final semifinals matchup, you got the Suns and Nuggets. Suns already up 1-0 in that series. Chris Paul played extremely well. Looks like that shoulder's fine. I believe he had 21 points and 11 assists. Orchestrated that offense beautifully. Got to the mid-range game with ease. I got Suns in 6. And look, I know the Nuggets have the now newly crowned NBA MVP, Nikola Jokic, which congratulations. I felt that he was going to be the MVP. I knew he was the MVP. The other guys who were finalists, and Steph Curry and Joel Embiid, they missed a lot of games. Nikola Jokic was there every single game, and he was dominant every single game. And it was his award this year. He definitely earned it. But I know they have the reigning NBA MVP now. They're a really good team, but they're going to miss Jamal Murray in this series. Suns are a really good team, y'all. If you didn't know, now you know. They are a really good team. And it's as I said before here on Toss. I asked this before the season began when I was giving season predictions. I was giving season playoff predictions on teams that would make it. I asked the question, will the Suns be that 8-0 bubble team that we saw? Was that a precursor to what we're going to see in the regular season? Or was that a flash in the pan? When they traded for Chris Paul, I said, okay, it's going to be the 8-0 bubble Suns we're going to see this season. Did I think they'll be number 2 in the Western Conference? Good? No, but I did say they would make the playoffs. I felt they would make the playoffs. And now I think they're going to make a trip to the Western Conference Finals. I think they win this series in 6. Really good team. Really fun to watch. They play well together. Monty Williams, a lot of people feel that he was robbed of Coach of the Year. Tom Thibodeau getting that for the job he did with the Knicks. If anything, you could say it was a co-Coach of the Year this season. But I digress. Jazz, Suns, making it out of the West. And in the Eastern Conference, you have the Sixers. And though it pains my heart to say this, you got the Nets coming out of that matchup. They will represent, they will go to the Eastern Conference Finals for the rights to represent the Eastern Conference in the NBA Finals. Well, y'all, that'll do it for me. This was episode 85 of the Tristain on Sports Show Toss. You know where to find me on social media. At the20double. That's at the number 2, the number 0, and the word double on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me there. TossNationMedia.com. Your home for the Toss brand of sports. Truthful, opinionated, passionate sports. It's what you deserve. Check us out there. And Facebook.com/TON Sports Show. That's TON Sports Show. It's your home for the Toss brand of sports on Facebook. Talk about a lot of things there that we don't get a chance to touch on during the show. It's Facebook.com/TON Sports Show. Give us a like, follow us, talk to us. We're always open. But, as I said before, it's time for me to get on up out of here. This is T-Squared, Tristain Thomas, reminding all of you to keep it moving forward. Always forward. Forward always. Until next week. So long from Toss.